Robert if I could just hold up a copy of his book here. Journalist, writer, Robert Neuwirth published his book, Shadow Cities, A Billion Squatters, A New Urban World, which is essentially a comparative study of favelas on 4 continents. Starts off in Rocinha, in Rio de Janeiro, and then focuses on Istanbul, Turkey, Nairobi, Kenya, and Mumbai, India. Today, Robert will be talking mostly about issues in Brazilian favelas, since the focus of our week of Brazilian culture obviously is Brazil, although hopefully he'll make some comparisons, to other parts of the book. Robert spent 2 years researching this book. He was awarded the MacArthur Foundation, a grant from the MacArthur Foundation, to write the book. It was published on Routledge Press. I didn't really have to read the book to know that I was going to like it, and so sort of by way of introducing Robert, I'd like to tell you just really briefly how we met. I was actually sort of a part of the story, and I think you'll understand why I was so confident that this was going to be a good book, which I have had a chance to confirm now that I've had a chance to read. Back in 2001, I got an email. I was doing some research of my own and working with Two Brothers Foundation in Rocinha in Rio, and a friend of mine who's a law professor at Catholic University in Rio had given my email to somebody that was interested in favelas. Well, I got a message, and I wrote Robert back, and I said, I'd be more than happy to help you out, find a place to stay. I even have a great place in mind. You can come into the community, and you can be a part of our family of 2 brothers, as long as you'll teach English classes for us, which he didn't mind. He didn't mind doing. I didn't know what kind of person this would be. I mean, I've met a lot of people in my career in studying in Brazil and in working with 2 brothers. Robert really turned out to be a very special person, and we were kind of talking on the way over here about, just what made it such a special time for 2 brothers and a special time for us to become such close friends. And it's not exactly easy to identify, but I know that it has a lot to do with, obviously, with Robert's personality. It was amazing that a person, and I don't think I'm embarrassing Robert to say, when he showed up to Brazil, he didn't speak very much Portuguese at all. He had had a few lessons in New York City from some native speaker, and he knew tudo bem and some other things. So we met him at the Intercontinental Hotel in São Conrado. He was rearing to go, and he communicated to me pretty quickly, "Não quero falar inglês," or something to that effect. And I've known people that have spoken Portuguese quite fluently that were not themselves in Portuguese. For those of you that have studied languages, you might be familiar with that problem. It's just, you're intimidated, you're just not quite, you don't have the same personality. The amazing thing was Robert really only had very rudimentary tools in Portuguese, yet he really managed to be himself. Now, fortunately, his self is a wonderful person, and that transmitted very well through his jokes and through his easygoing attitude, through his really good listening skills that I think connected him very well to our students and to the population there in Rocinha. I found that Robert really treated people as people. And that's very obvious, and all of us say, well, of course, you treat people as people. It's not always the case for researchers that come and study in a low-income neighborhood, especially if they're not necessarily from a low-income community themselves, and they have any kind of educational background or whatnot. And Robert really had an ability to get into debates and lengthy discussions with fruit vendors and 15-year-old smart alecky kids and everybody else that we came in contact. And I think he was able to deeply touch people in the short period of time that he was there. So that's why I knew when I picked up this book that he was going to give a very dignified portrayal of the community that I love so much. And that's why I trust the things that he says and really pay much attention to what he says about communities in other parts of the world as well. So with all of that build up, I'm sure you're anxious to hear Robert start talking. So let's give a warm round of applause to welcome Robert.